was another. So I re-crochet diamond paint. I need to add blocking to my regimen. Okay, I have not really picked up the camera in about a day or two. I've been really busy with a lot of other stuff. My job, which is dog grooming, and then I'm trying to crochet to sell dog collars, and I'm also editing, trying to figure out how I'm going to edit my It review. I thought I'd just do pictures and voiceover, but it's kind of even more boring than me sitting at the computer, at the camera and just showing you guys. So, but in the meantime, also while I wait for pet clients to like drop off, I just read, so I don't pick up the camera and record it. I am wearing a top. I'm wearing a romper. It's just a short, like, no sleeves. But Stephen King, The Long Walk, I haven't sat down and actually talked about it to you guys. So far, it's really good. It's very much kind of like what they say with those, you know, I guess kind of, I never read Hunger Games. I've seen some of the movies and didn't really like them, so I don't like to relate things to Hunger Games. For me, it's like Squid Game. Like, you play these games and you get eliminated. Then they walk this walk, and at a certain pace and all that stuff. There's a lot of curriculums in there, and if you don't keep up, then you get your ticket. So, you get eliminated. But let's see. Last I left you guys on, I had just finished, I think, chapter 4, and I was on page 98. And so I've read a bit since then, off camera, and I'm now on page 132, and I've started chapter 6. Yeah, started chapter 6 at page 132, and it is 3:30 in the morning. I think they started to walk at 9 o'clock in the morning the previous day, so they walked all night. It's 3:30 a.m. They walked 70 miles, and there are 24 walkers that got their ticket. It's so much fun. I did look at the cast accidentally for this, and so I do imagine the major being Mark Hamill. Spoiler, Mark Hamill is going to be playing the major. And then I think the main character, I actually make a side character in the book, because I already had a main character in mind, so I'm like, you're not the main character. I like who I made the main character, but I have a Mod Podge of like boys from the movie Holes, and then like just random people. And there's one character, he doesn't get a name because he gets his ticket pretty soon. And it's funny because I was imagining someone who's, you know, they're all from either movies or mostly movies and shows, but he's a good looking guy in my mind. And then they're like, oh, but he's so ugly, and I was like, skirt. So I had to like change my mind, and not to sound cheesy or anything, but I could tell this character was going to go really fast, and I was like, I don't know someone who's ugly. I don't want to even put a picture up of like, oh, they said he's ugly, so I envisioned this person. I just was like, yeah, okay, this nameless, faceless person's just gonna get their ticket. Let's move on. So, and that's exactly what happened. So, I didn't have to find someone who's ugly to face him, put a face to him. But so far, it's really good. It's reading a lot faster than it did. I also have a bit more time to read, because I'm doing so many side projects too. I'm doing my job, I'm doing the crocheting, I'm doing diamond painting. I need to slow down, but in between I always find time to read. And yeah, it's not a bad read for right after it, because the only reason I'm reading this one next is because the movie's coming out in September, so I want to read the book before the movie, and then I'm going to go down the whole Stephen King journey of the Dark Tower series. And I wanted to read Insomnia next, because that also takes place in Derry, Maine, and my husband has issues with insomnia, so I'm like, hey, that would kind of tie in. But once I heard Dark Towers were the root of all the connections started, so I'm like, oh, it's gonna be long, because it's like the first book, at least I have the first Dark Tower book, it's really small, but I think all of it put together, it's going to be pretty lengthy. So I don't have all of them yet. I'm just going to take it one book at a time, read this, and then I also have The Shining and Needful Things. And I'm excited to read that one, because I have never read or heard of it, ever. But yeah, that's just where I am, and that's why you guys haven't really seen, and you probably won't see footage today, because again, I have a pretty busy day today. So it's been, when I'm watching booktubers vlogging them reading, I'm like, why don't they just take their cameras with them, because they'll come back on and be like, oh guys, I forgot to record this last part I was on chapter 2 and I'm on like chapter 20 and I'm almost done with the book, and I'm like, they didn't pick up their phone or their camera. But no, because it's like, it is time consuming, because like right now the battery's about to die. So it's like, if I was recording this, reading this book, I get paranoid of like, is the battery okay? Is it recording? Is it? So it's kind of nice just reading and not having to worry about that. But I'll record in times I'm able to. But that's just where I am right now on, I already forget, page 132 inside of chapter 6 right now. It's really good. I'm liking it. I think I'll get finished maybe next week. I don't know. That's because right now, if I keep reading the way I'm reading, that's pretty fast for me. I don't think I usually read that fast. So it's a really easy read. It's only because I'm so busy. That's why. Like, if I didn't, like, thinking back, that's probably why I read so many books when I was younger, because I didn't have a kid, I didn't have the dogs, I didn't have all these responsibilities to do. So, but with all that, it's really good. Definitely would recommend. I'm not done, obviously, but I will see you guys either in another time lapse of me reading further than hopefully I am right now, or just another check-in after I've read some. Who knows, but I will see you guys later. I did not expect to finish this book so soon. I started it July 13th, 2 days after I finished It by Stephen King. I picked up this new one so I would be in time for the new film to come out that comes out in September. And I started it July 13th and I finished it today, July 26th. The Long Walk by Stephen King. This was such a simpler read than It by Stephen King, obviously, but it was really good. I am already going to go ahead and tell you guys I'm going to give it a 4.5. It wasn't as intriguing as It by Stephen King, but it's a lot easier to follow. And basically, it was written in 1979 under the name of Richard Bachman, but that was Stephen King, so he does write a little differently in this than he does in his other books written by Stephen King. And he wrote this, I think he wrote this before he wrote Carrie, his first book, but he never got published, so it took him a few years to finally get published. But he was like a college kid when he wrote this, and it's so good. It's basically a dystopian time where kind of a lot of people, like I said earlier in this video, that a lot of people describe these as closest to Hunger Games, but in my mind it's closest to Squid Game, because you get eliminated and basically only one person can win. And it is pretty obvious from the get-go that the person that we're following this story from, spoilers, is the person who's gonna make it to the end. But they get their ticket if they have to go 4 miles per hour and walk just until the last man standing, literally, out of 100 kids. I love the main character, Garrity. He was such a good character. And again, I have already set the cast in my mind before I looked at the cast for the film, which I didn't mean to look at the cast for the film, but I did. So I made actually the main character in the film one of the side characters, because I already had a main character in my head. And that's actually Andy from Bring Her Back. To me, he is Garrity. Obviously, that's going to change when the film comes out. And then McVerris, his best friend, is the main character who's going to be playing Garrity in the film. So it's very backwards, very weird. I'm not going to take the time to explain every single character because there's, again, 100 kids. I did at first imagine the Major as just that creepy sheriff from Texas Chainsaw Massacre until I did look and see that Mark Hamill's playing the Major, and I was like, that I can get behind, so I imagine him for the rest of the time. But this is such a good book. It was very easy to read, very easy to follow along, and at first it's like I'm not going to get attached because it is very much you know, get eliminated. And why get attached? You get so easily attached, especially toward the end. Like, I knew they were going to, but I didn't want some of the guys to actually get their ticket. And a lot of people say that there's no real spoilers in this because it's so short and so basic. There was, at the end, that chapter, the rabbit that I showed up earlier. If you know, you know. Again, this is going to be spoilers, so I don't mind spoiling it. Please get out now if you want to wait till the movie. But in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoils. Stebbins, or Stebbing, I think his name's Stebbins. I imagine him as Freddie Highmore. He's number 88. When it really was like shocking to read this part, but they really didn't do much with this information. But he is the son of the Major because he was lasting at least until the 4th day with like really maybe a small little limp while everybody else is like having major issues. And they're like, why are you even, they're all explaining why they even entered the Long Walk, and he won't say why. So when it becomes just him and Garrity left, he's like, why? He's like, I'm the Major's son. I was like, what? So I thought what they were going to do was basically like maybe the guards. And I did imagine the guards as the guards of Squid Game. I just got off watching season 3. I still haven't reviewed it. I have a lot of issues with it, and it wasn't as great of an ending, but I did like it. I think the major issue, quick Squid Game interruption, the most major issue for me in season 2 and 3 is the voting process, the just annoyance of constantly voting. Because if we saw in season 1, when they did vote and they wanted to get out of Squid Game off the island and they went back to their hometowns, they realized that it's just as much of a hellhole as they thought. So even Jihan ended up going back anyway. They all end up going back. And I liked when they got to escape and we got to see their real life. But in season 2 and 3, it just seemed like Jihan totally forgot that. It's like, oh yeah, last time we did win this vote and it did suck out there. And we all kind of came back. He just kept going like, nope, vote no, vote no, vote no. It's like, do you not remember that it's the same hellhole for all of y'all? But I don't know. They just overly voted in Squid Game, and I really got annoyed with it. Also, I like in here, compared to Squid Game, how they weren't able to hurt each other. That allowed them to actually grow better bonds with each other. Because in Squid Game, it's like every person is money. So everyone's going to try to collect as much money as possible. And it's not until player 222 comes back, resurrected, obviously, as her daughter, that they're like, oh, by the way, no longer can you attack your opponents outside of the games, because we need to make it fair. But this whole time we've set up literally a hidden game where you guys attack each other in the night. In this, they cannot attack each other. That is one of the rules. They cannot off each other to win, and I like that. Back to Steven real quick. They didn't do anything with the fact that he is a major son. I thought it was going to be like the guards. Again, I imagine them as the pink guards from Squid Game. I thought that they were going to be like ordered to protect Stevens, and ordered, maybe they were giving him extra food, extra rations, maybe, give him extra canteens when no one was looking, help trade out his shoes when no one looked or something. Like maybe we would see like, oh yeah, that's why he lasted so long without any issues. And he kind of just falls over and dies at the very end. He really didn't have a reason. He just kind of fell. And I don't know, I thought the guards would be like, ordered not to, basically, since he's the major son, he's gonna make it. But he doesn't, which was interesting. But let's see, at first I was confused by the warnings, because I think in the movie they're changing it to where you can literally only get 3 warnings. So Garrity, I started writing all the times he's getting warnings, because he gets warnings off the bat. Let's see, he gets a total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. He gets 22 warnings, and I was so confused halfway through. I'm like, why is he getting away with so many warnings? So basically, if they get a warning, then then you have to walk a mile in order to work that warning off. So one time he got 2 warnings back to back. He had to walk 2 miles to erase those warnings. So yeah, if you stop 3 times and you don't correct yourself, then you get your ticket. So that made a lot more sense to me than I think what the movie's gonna do. I think the movie's gonna make it where you can only get 3 in general. But yeah, it was very basic story plot, but the ending, let's talk about it. It was very ambiguous, and it really is up for interpretation. My interpretation, let's talk about it. Again, spoilers. Basically, Garrity wins, Stebbins falls down, and Garrity knows he's the winner, and he looks up ahead and he sees the Major's car coming to him. And earlier, they said that the last winner of the long walk survived, but then a week later, he died. Because that's a lot to put on the body. So he sees the major's car come down, but he sees a figure next to him. And he's trying in his head to figure out who it is. He's like, wait, McVerris died, Stebbins died, Parker died. Like, who is that guy? Who else is walking? Like, he's trying to figure out what last boy is there. And before he can figure it out, the figure touches his shoulder, and as worn out and as unable to walk as he is anymore, he says, and when the hand touched his shoulder again, he somehow find the strength to run. And in my mind, it's ambiguous. It's up for interpretation. Maybe some people out there believe he really did make it, happy ever after. He gets the prize, he gets whatever he wants for the rest of his life. I think this means he died. I think this means that, yes, he made it. We had a winner, but his body gave out. Because there's no way, with how weak he must have been, that he could all of a sudden start running. You can start running when you let go, if you get my drift. Let's see, there were some good quotes. Oh yeah, none of us really has anything to lose. That makes it easier to give away. I love that quote. And there's another one, I knew it. I don't know, I did write down a lot of notes about like all the characters, who I saw them as, when they got their tickets, all that stuff. But yeah, it really made you like a lot of the characters. And there's really just a group. And then Garrity has a mom and a girlfriend, but he kind of cheats on the girlfriend like in chapter 1, maybe. I don't even know. When the walk starts, he just starts making out with this random girl. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's so weird. But I don't think he makes it in the end. But overall, I really liked it. It was a lot of fun, especially right after it. Like, it was a good read. It was really fast. It makes me feel really smart because July 13th to July 26th, that's not bad at all. So I got 2 books read in July. And then I'm going to do a tag video, Booktubers newbie tag. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask down below. And let me know, have you guys read The Long Walk? Are you looking forward to the movie? Please like, subscribe, and I am either gonna read The Pram by Joe Hill on my Kindle, so not an actual form. I can't do audiobooks. That's one thing I'm gonna answer in the newbie tag, is I cannot do audiobooks. I fall asleep. But I can do Kindle. So I'm either gonna read Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son. You know my joke, I have to tell it every time. Why doesn't he go by his last name, King? Because then it'd be Joe King. Anyway, so lame. I have to tell that every time. I'll probably tell it in the review of The Pram too. But you know, read that on Kindle, or just pick the next Stephen King. That could be The Shining. That would be a reread for me. Or Needful Things. Because I want to read all the extra books I have of Stephen King before I start the Dark Tower series. Because even though the first book is so small, the series is so big. So that's it for today. And for this review, I really liked it. I give a 4.5 out of 5. What did you guys think? What are you most looking forward to? And I will see you guys for our next journey. Thanks. Bye.